Before we begin, I want to share something with you. This mini-series is a continuation of Aaliyah documentary here on Live Life Right. But it will focus on stories and moments I intentionally did not include in the original film. Some of these topics are more personal, more complex, and in certain ways more emotionally heavy. My goal with the series is not to centralize Aaliyah's life, but to explore the different parts of her story with care, respect, and honesty. This series is meant to honor her humanity, her talent, and the full complicity of her legacy. When people talk about Aaliyah, they talk about her music, her beauty, her legacy. They talk about the impact she made on R&B and how she changed the sound of a generation. But what often gets forgotten is that Aaliyah was also becoming a movie star. Not just in name, not just a celebrity cameo. She was becoming a real actress with real presence, real range, and real potential. And in another lifetime, Aaliyah might have been one of the greatest actresses of her generation. There was something about Aaliyah on camera that felt effortless. She didn't try to perform for the lens. She didn't overreact. She didn't force emotion. She simply existed on screen, and the camera loved her for it. Her flawlessness, her swag, her energy instantly made her feel like she was ready for the film without even trying. Even in interviews and music videos, she could already see it. She had what people in Hollywood call screen presence. That's rare quality that can't be taught. By the late 1990s, Hollywood had already begun paying attention to Aaliyah. She wasn't just another singer trying to cross over into acting. Directors, casting agents, and studios saw something different in her. They saw someone who felt natural on screen, someone who didn't feel out of place in the film world, someone who looked like she belonged there. Aaliyah wasn't chasing acting. Acting was coming to her. By the time Aaliyah stepped into her first major film role, she had already conquered music. She had platinum albums, global recognition, cultural influence, and instead of slowing down, she was quietly preparing for her second chapter, a chapter that would have taken her from music icon to Hollywood leading lady. This wasn't a side quest. This was the beginning of a second destiny. In her first major film role, Aaliyah would prove something important, that wasn't just a beautiful singer on screen, she was a real actress in the making. And when the world finally saw her in Romeo Must Die, everything changed. When Aaliyah walked onto the set of Romeo Must Die, she wasn't just stepping into her first major film role. She was stepping into a future she had quietly prepared for, long before Hollywood was paying attention. To the public, this looked like an overnight crossover moment, but in reality, it was just a result of years of discipline, patience, and dedication to becoming a real actress. This was the moment when Aaliyah stopped being seen as just a music star who wanted to act and started being seen as a movie star in her own right. By the late 1990s, Hollywood had begun to notice Aaliyah, not just for her beauty, not just for her fame, but for the calm, grounded presence she brought into every audition. When casting began for Romeo Must Die, the role of Trish O'Day was being considered for several young actresses. But when Aaliyah auditioned, something shifted. Casting directors later said there was something different about her energy. She wasn't trying to impress the room. She wasn't forcing emotion. She was natural, confident, and her presence stood out. Before long, Aaliyah was offered the role, and just like that, her journey into Hollywood truly began. For Aaliyah, stepping onto a real movie set was not intimidating. It was exciting. People who worked on Romeo Must Die said she arrived early, stayed focused, and listened carefully. She wasn't behaving like a celebrity. She wasn't behaving like a student of a craft. She asked questions. She took directions seriously. She practiced her line constantly between takes. And even through this was her first major role, she carried herself like she belonged there. There was no ego, just determination. One of the most talked about parts of Romeo Must Die was Aaliyah's chemistry with Jet Li. Despite their language and cultural differences, their own screen connection felt natural and believable. Off camera, Jet Li later said that Aaliyah brought energy to the set, a calm energy. She was kind, respectful, easy to work with, and that translated into their performances. Even in scenes, they were meant to be quiet and suitable. Their presence together felt emotionally grounded. It wasn't forced romance. It was a genuinely connection, and the audience noticed. When Romeo Must Die was released in 2000, the reaction surprised a lot of people. The film performed well at the box office, but more importantly, people were taken by Aaliyah. Critics and audience alike said the same thing. She's not bad at all. And for the first time actress, that was huge. She wasn't being laughed off the screen. She wasn't being dismissed as a pop star experiment. She was being taken seriously. Hollywood had officially met Aaliyah as the actress. Romeo Must Die changed everything for Aaliyah. It opened doors, it created opportunities, and earned her respect. But instead of choosing the safest path, Aaliyah made a bold and unexpected decision in part 3. Welcome back to Live Life Right Network. By the early 2000s, Aaliyah was no longer just a rising music star. She was becoming a woman with vision, with confidence, with purpose. And when it came time to choose her next film role, Aaliyah made a bold decision, one that surprised many people. She chose Queen of the Damned, a darker, riskier, more complex role. And that choice would change how Hollywood saw her forever. After the success of Romeo Must Die, many expected Aaliyah to take on another safe, glamorous role. Something light, something romantic, something predictable. But Aaliyah didn't want to be predictable. She wanted challenge. She wanted growth. So when Queen of the Damned came along, a gothic supernatural film with dark themes and heavy emotion, she said yes. And that alone showed how fearless she was as an artist. In Queen of the Damned, Aaliyah played Akasha, an ancient vampire queen. The role was seductive, powerful, mysterious, dark. Nothing like the soft, gentle image people were used to seeing from her. And that was the point. Aaliyah wanted the world to see her range. She wanted to show that she wasn't just sweetness and softness smooth. She could be commanding, dangerous, complex. and she owned every second of it. When people saw Aaliyah in this role, many were stunned. She didn't look like a singer trying to act. She looked like a real movie star. She moved with confidence. She commanded the screen. She held her own in every scene. Even critics who were unsure at the first admitted Aaliyah had real acting talent, not potential, talent. After Queen of the Damned, Hollywood didn't just see Aaliyah as a pop star anymore. They saw her as a serious actress, a leading lady, a future movie star. She was being considered for major roles, big budget films, iconic characters. Her future in Hollywood was wide open. Over time, Queen of the Damned developed a cult following. Fans began to appreciate the film for its dark atmosphere, its bold, and especially Aaliyah's unforgettable performance as Akasha. Many fans have said Aaliyah was born to play Akasha. No one else could have done it the way she did. They didn't just watch her performance, they felt it. Even critics who was tough on the film praised Aaliyah's screen presence. One reviewer wrote, Aaliyah commanded the screen with a quiet power and few performers her age possesses. Queen of the Damned wasn't just a movie role. It was a statement. Aaliyah was telling the world, I'm not afraid to involve. I'm not afraid to take a risk. I'm not afraid to be more than one thing. She was stepping into a new chapter of her life. One filled with bold choices, bigger dreams, and endless potential. And once again, she was right. When people talk about Aaliyah, they often mention her voice, her beauty, and her quiet strength. But there's another part of her legacy that continues to influence the world today. Her fashion. Aaliyah wasn't just wearing clothes. She was creating a whole visual language for young women. She changed how femininity, confidence, and cool could exist in the same space. In the early 1990s, Aaliyah introduced a look to the world had never really seen before. Baggy pants, oversized jackets, crop tops, sunglasses, bandanas. It was masculine and feminine at the same time. She showed young women that softness didn't mean weakness, and that you didn't have to be hyper-sexualized to be powerful. That style alone changed the way an entire generation of girls dressed. Aaliyah helped Tommy Hilfiger, a cultural fashion staple in hip-hop and R&B culture. She didn't just wear the clothes, she embodied the brand. After she wore Tommy Hilfiger on Video Soul, the brand repeatedly sold out overnight. Let's talk about impact. The moment showed that the industry had how powerful her influence really was. The elevation from tomboy to elegant. As Aaliyah matured, her style matured with her. She moved from oversized streetwear into sleek stilettos, leather pants, futuristic looks, and high fashion moments. But she never lost her signature edge. Her fashion always felt authentic to who she was. Aaliyah's red carpet looks were confident and unforgettable. She favored clean lines, neutral colors, and elegance. She didn't dress for shock value, she dressed for impact. And that's why her looks still feel modern today. Today, you can see Aaliyah influence everywhere, from oversized silhouettes to tomboy chic, athletic. Her style continues to shape modern fashion. Designers, stylists, and celebrities still reference her looks decades later. She wasn't following trends, she was creating them. Why her style matters, should we say? Aaliyah's fashion wasn't just about clothes, it was about her identity. She showed young black women that could be soft-spoken, reserved, and still be a trendsetter. She didn't have to perform for the male gaze to be iconic. She could simply be herself. Aaliyah didn't just leave behind great music and films. She left behind a visual legacy. A legacy of confidence and just power. There's a moment in every artist's life where things start to feel settled, not finished, not complete, but clear. By the early 2000s, Aaliyah stepping into that moment. She wasn't chasing validation anymore. She wasn't trying to prove herself. She had already done that. What stood out most during this time was her confidence. Quiet, grounded, and self-assured. She moved differently. She spoke differently. She carried herself with a calm, knowing that she belonged exactly where she was. Aaliyah was beginning to shape her future on her own terms. Musically, she was evolving. Her sound was more experienced, more mature, more intentional. She wasn't afraid to explore space, silence, and mood. She trusted her instincts. Creative, she was expanding beyond music. Acting wasn't a side project. It was real path forward. She chose roles that challenged her. Roles that showed strength, darkness, and depth. There was a sense that she was just getting started. Not in popularity, but in purpose. People around her often spoke about her work ethic, her focus, and her vision for the future. She knew what she wanted, and she was moving towards it quietly, steadily. What makes this moment so powerful is not just what she had achieved, but what was still ahead. There was room to grow, room to explore, room to become even more than she already was. And that's what part 5 represents. Not an ending, but a threshold. Aaliyah was stepping into a future that felt open, intentional, and deeply her own. We'll reflect on her lasting impact, and where her presence continue to be felt today. Part 6, the finale. Drops next Wednesday at 7 p.m. I need you guys to really soak all this Aaliyah masterpiece footage in. I thank you guys so much for allowing me to calmly, softly give you this content. Aaliyah was someone special, talented, and unforgettable. Her life was cut tremendously, very short. But we are left with her memory, her music, her likeness. And we have that to go back to when we feel like we miss her. Thank you guys again. I'll see you in the next mini-series. Aaliyah's story isn't defined by how it ended. It's defined by how much she gave in such a short time. In just 22 years, she changed the sound of R&B, redefined what quiet confidence looked like, and showed that strength doesn't have to be loud. She was protected by a close circle. Family, collaborators, people who believed in her talent. She worked with the biggest names in music, yet stayed grounded, private, and intentional. Her career wasn't slowing down. It was evolving. She was exploring new sounds, new roles, and new creative spaces, building something long-lasting, not just popular. When she passed, the world felt lost immediately. But what followed was something powerful. Her music didn't disappear. Her influence didn't fade. And her presence never left. she become timeless. Not because she was gone too soon, but because what she created was strong enough to outlive time itself. This series was made with love, care, and deep respect. Thank you for honoring her story with me. Her legacy lives on. Always. I'm afraid to say that this concludes the Aaliyah mini series by Live Life Right Network. I appreciate all the love and support. I appreciate the engagement from my community tab. I love you guys. You guys are the best. All the new subscribers, I appreciate it. We're going to grow together, guys. Thank you.